Thanks for sticking around, still with us on Before Kickoff today. And as you guys can see, we're very fortunate to have Michael Bridges with us. And because he's here, sitting there in that hot seat, we're going to get to know him a little bit more, right?
Yeah, we're going to have to ask you a couple of questions. Ooh. And I hate to start with this, Michael, because we ask you this all the time. I asked you this on Man of the Street as well.
Yes.
But, of course, you know, you were the next big thing in England, and your career, though, was impacted by that major injury. Have you ever thought about the what-ifs and how your career would have panned out if you didn't face that injury at 23?
Yeah, we always look back to think what could have happened, because Sven-Goran Eriksson kind of came in and changed the England setup, and the old guard had left, and I think it was the Australian match when he went for 2 11s. He played 2 11 teams against Australia, so he changed at half-time, and he was trying out the new youngsters, and at the time at Leeds, there was myself, Alan Smith, Danny Mills, Paul Robinson, Lee Bowyer, who had all been in that 21 setup. And we were looking to move on to the England squad, and actually get named in that squad the week before, and then get the injury. I always think, what could have been, because I played at every other level, apart from the national senior, and it's one thing that does still stick in the back of my mind. But through my injury nightmare, there's a positive outlook. I met my now wife, 13 years on. I got 2 beautiful children, and she, at that time when I was struggling mentally, because of the injury, this woman saved me and give me a life outside of football.
So it's actually a beautiful love story in the end.
13 years, and not so much of a love story now, you know, but it was, but it was, and that's how I look at it. We met. I was back from leave at Leeds United through the injury. She was on dance leave, and then we met. So there you go. But if I could turn back time, who knows what could have happened with that England thing. I'm a big believer in fate. Things happen for a reason in life.
But sticking to the whole what if, you know, how many England caps do you think you could have, you know, realistically earned, do you think?
Oh, now you're pressurising. I think I made out my England time as a junior. I think it was about 38 caps that I got from all youth levels. Look at the mullet.
There you
look
go.
At the hair.
Look at the mullet.
Look at the mullet. Yes,
looking good.
There was a lot of I got a lot of caps there. So I don't like to put a number on that.
No, okay. Okay, we'll leave it at that.
I'd like to say 100, but I very much doubt it.
You never know, right?
You can say whatever number, because,
exactly,
you know,
yeah.
Double figures would have been nice.
All right.
You're a huge Spurs fan. We all know that.
Yes.
Why though? Why did you choose Spurs? And you were actually supposed to join them as well, but it didn't work out.
Well,
what happened?
Yes. So as a child, Newcastle fan, because of my father used to go to St James's Park.
Right.
Chris Waddle.
Yeah.
Hence the haircut there that you just saw. Chris had a mullet. I loved the way this guy played. It was the first guy that I'd seen that was an entertainer. And when Chris left, I was 8 years of age, and I cried. And my father was like, "Oh my God, what's up with my son?" You know.
Yeah.
And he said, "Why don't you support Tottenham Hotspur, where Chris is?"
Okay.
And I was like, "Can I do that?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, yeah, he's your hero, he's your idol."
Yeah.
So there you go. So then I supported Tottenham Hotspur, and just when I left Sunderland, Tottenham, manager was George Graham, and he paid Sunderland accept a £5 million bid. I was on my way to Tottenham Hotspur, could not wait to get there, didn't even want to see the contract, I was just ready to sign
it anyway, yeah.
And then Alan Shearer, the chairman, came in, and his words to me, he stayed for like 3 minutes tops. He came in, he said, "I don't know who you are, I've never heard of you, I'm putting my faith in George Graham.
Yeah.
You're not getting the money your agent wants, I haven't got long to see you, good luck for the season, I'm off." And I couldn't believe it. I turned to my agent, I said, let's get out of here. In George Graham's face, he was like, "Oh, what's happened?" So I called Alan Shearer the dream killer.
Right.
Because then I got back in the car and we drove up, and I ended up signing for Leeds United. I met a beautiful man in David O'Leary, and the chairman at the time, Peter Rizzo, and the club was growing.
And you got into the Champions League and all that.
So again, fate, things happen for a reason. Big fate. But so I was annoyed at Alan Shearer for shattering all my dreams, but at the end of the day, it worked out better.
There's always a silver lining, I guess.
Somewhere,
right?
yes.
All right, now we want to ask you about Alan Shearer. So, how was it like, you know, being his teammate, playing with him on the field? You can share with us.
Yeah, he was, the thing I learnt off Alan, you know, huge in the northeast of England. The scout that spotted Alan was a guy called Jack Hickson, who was a northeast legend for spotting Alan, and really good scout. Back in the day, a lot of Geordies played around the country from this guy that scouted. Yeah. He spotted me, and me and Alan became friends before we were at Newcastle United. But what I learned from Alan, Alan worked, he was the first one into training, and he was the last one to leave. And he practiced to be as good as what he was. Not at dribbling, he worked on his strengths, he didn't work on his weaknesses, and I learned so much from this guy, how hard you had to work to be where you are.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a prankster. He comes across as very dry. Mary Poppins is his nickname.
Yeah.
With the boys, but in behind closed doors, he's a very funny man.
Right.
How was your relationship with him off the pitch, though? Are you guys still in touch?
Yeah, still in touch. I mean, we were doing the man on the street the other day.
I remember you did a video.
And
did
they did
you
the
send
video.
It to
I
him?
sent it to Alan, yeah. And
Oh, wow. What did he say?
I can't repeat what he said.
Oh, no.
Okay.
He wasn't
Not
happy.
safe for TV?
Not safe for TV.
Okay,
But you know what it
understood.
is. Because we were taking the... it was Josh, was it?
Julian? Oh, I don't... Julian,
the
King
Newcastle.
Julian.
King Julian,
yes.
the Newcastle fan.
Yeah.
Right.
And I sent Alan a video.
Oh,
but it was a bit of a
right.
mick take. And Alan, he wasn't happy.
Yeah.
But he laughed.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. Man on the Street, we have to watch that episode. Yeah.
Definitely. I'm not sure if that part was actually in, but we'll see.
I'll show you the video.
Yeah. Peter Reid, he's quite an interesting character. What have you learned from him?
Don't get him angry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Peter, he was a very, very good manager. He got the best out of players that were in lower divisions. And I mean, look at this on the sideline. So there was nothing worse. There was a documentary called Premier Passions. So when we got promoted to the Premier League,
Yeah.
with a TV camera, follow us around for the whole season
Right.
in the Premier League. We ended up getting relegated that season. But some of the footage of Peter Reid behind is incredible. Now, I was a 17-year-old boy. He turned me from a boy into a man. He really toughened me up, and he, you know, they were playing against the likes of Tony Adams in matches against Arsenal, and Dennis Bergkamp on the opposition. He would always try and make you feel as good as them and tell you to go out and perform. And he had his methods. He had his methods. He was a really hard-driven man.
Yeah.
Some people saw it as anger, but he was a winner. He was
It was
a winner.
unique, though.
He
Yeah,
was. He
you
was
put
very
it that
good.
way,
And
yeah.
you know, he gave me everything as a kid.
Right. Okay, now I want to ask, because you were saying just now, it was clear that you grew up, you know, playing football, being surrounded by people who play football and all that. So maybe you can share with us your idols, football idols, as you were growing up.
Oh, well, Chris Waddle was definitely one of them.
Yeah.
I had the guy's haircut. I tried to walk like him. I couldn't play like him because he was so good. And I even bought his album when he did a silly song with Glenn Hoddle. Diamond Lights or something it was. Yeah,
Wow.
he was a singer as well. Robbie Fowler. I was a big fan of Robbie Fowler.
Okay.
You know, we used to get posters in the magazines.
Uh-huh.
I used to put a picture of Robbie on the wall because he was a great footballer,
Right.
a great goal scorer, and somebody that I really looked up to, thinking, how does he do this? And then I had the pleasure of playing alongside him at Leeds United when Robbie came into the football club.
Yeah.
And somebody I've always looked up to because he had such a special talent. And it's, you know, it's so nice when I got to meet my old Chris Waddle, and it's so nice to meet players, and it's refreshing when you've got somebody that you put in
On a
such high
pedestal,
esteem.
yeah.
They say don't meet them because you might be let down.
Yeah,
You might be
you'd
upset.
be disappointed, yeah.
I was delighted with Chris Waddle and Robbie Fowler as how genuine they were.
Oh, that's good to know.
You played for
Yeah.
Sunderland, of course.
Yes.
How did that affect your family members and, I don't know, the people of Newcastle? You know, being a Geordie, isn't that like a
It didn't go down very well. It's a big
Yeah.
no-no.
Yeah.
So it's, you're talking a river. The River Tyne separates these two football clubs.
Yeah.
You're born in Newcastle, and I'll never forget the scout Jack Hickson called the house, rang the telephone. I'm on the phone because my dad didn't ask the scout where the trial was from. He just said there's a trial coming up.
Right, okay.
So I'm on the phone. He said Sunderland, and I'm like, oh yeah, brilliant. Can your dad drive you over? So I went to ask my dad. I said, Dad, I've got a trial. He said, where is it? Sunderland. And he went, oh, you can get the train.
Oh,
So
did you? Did
I'm
you
not driving.
actually
No, my
happen?
dad. He did. And the impact that was, I never had any issues for the first year when I was there. But when I started making first team appearances at the age of 17, I came back, and sadly, some Newcastle fans had smashed my father's car windows and slashed his car tyres. And there was a message on the garage of our house: "You're not welcome in this area anymore," which is really sad.
terrible.
But I had to move out.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, especially when it affects your family,
family,
members.
yeah.
Yeah, and that wasn't fair for them. So I
Yeah.
went into a hostel over in Sunderland and lived over there with 20 other
Oh gosh.
young players, which was madness.